Good morning, students. Today we are going to learn about establishment of British supremacy. Students, just review of the today class. Arrival of European trading companies. Already you learned the previous chapter. The British presence in India dates back to the early part of the 17th century, when they came to India as traders. By the second half of the 18th century is today class. Students, next some questions I asking you. Do you remember the journey of Vasco da Gama? Do you know, students? Yes. Vasco da Gama came to India while on a voyage of discovery of new sea routes. The prospect of earning money attracted traders from several European nations to India. And then next question, from which countries did the traders come to India? What did they buy? Anyone say the answer, students? Very good. The traders came to India from several European nations like Britain, France and Portugal, and as mercantile companies. And the next, what did they buy? Very good. They bought spices, cotton and silk, perfumes and precious stones from India. Students, and the next question, what are the two steps taken by the English East India Company established trading rights in India? They are convince the Mughal emperor to give them trading rights, and then next, defeat the French to establish monopoly of trade. These are the two steps taken by the English East India Company, establishing trading rights in India. Finally, how did the British prove their superiority over other European nations? Anyone say the answer? You want to say? Very good. The British had support of the government. The British had support of the government, superior naval power, good understanding among their officers, and were not involved in war like the French. Students, next you learn the English East India Company. How was the English East India Company established? The English East India Company was set up as a trading company by a charter from Queen Elizabeth that have the exclusive right to trade. Students, which year the treaty was signed? The 1600. Queen Elizabeth, the trade treaty was signed the British. Students, and then next, now we are going to the topic, explain the importance of the conquest of Bengal and the colonial history, sources of colonial history. Students, next you learn the aim. What is the aim? Explain the importance of the conquest of Bengal as a turning point in history. Identify and interpret the sources of information. Students, next you learn the keywords. Today keywords are fortification, conspire, decide, legislative, judicial, Indologist, documentation. Okay. Students, I asking the questions. Listen carefully. Students, what was the intention of the East India Company in India? Do you know, students? Anyone say the answer? Okay, you say the answer. The East India Company wanted to trade in India and earn maximum profits. Very good. And then next question, what did the Nawab of Bengal want the British to do? Anyone say? Okay. To pay more revenue to the Nawab. To pay more revenue to the Nawab. And then share trading rights with the French. Share trading rights with the French. Stop building walls around the trading post in Calcutta. Stop building walls around the trading post in Calcutta. Students, next you learn the two major battles. What are the two major battles of the British? Battle of Plassey and Battle of Buxar. Two major battles that helped the English East India Company to establish complete rule in Bengal. Okay, and then Battle of Plassey on 23 June 1757 became an important event in the history of India. Battle of Plassey, Clive marched to Chandranagar, and after the Nawab General Mir Jafar destroyed the French settlement. This annoyed Siraj-ud-Dowla even more, and he moved his army to Plassey on the banks of the Hooghly River, ready for a war with the forces of Clive, because, however, one of his commanders, Mir Jafar, who was already bribed by the British, betrayed him. Despite his larger army, the Nawab was defeated. He tried to escape but was captured and killed. The British made Mir Jafar the puppet Nawab of Bengal, who gratefully granted the British the right to collect taxes. And then, when he was unable to fulfill their needs any longer, he was replaced by his son-in-law Mir Qasim. And then next, Battle of Buxar starred the person of Mir Qasim. After being in the shadow of the British for a few years, Mir Qasim tried to free himself from the company's control. He hired European experts to train his army and abolished all duties on internal trade. Unwilling to give in to British demands, convinced the Mughal Emperor Shah Alam II and Siraj-ud-Dowla, the Nawab of Awadh, to join him in a battle to challenge the British, the War of Buxar. The Buxar on 22 October 1764. In 1765, Robert Clive became the governor of Bengal. He stopped companies' servants from doing any private trade, increased their salaries, and gave double bata or field allowance in times of peace. Robert Clive was the Governor General of Bengal. Students, I asking one question. Why do you think the English East India Company wanted to establish power in Bengal? The English East India Company wanted to establish power in Bengal as it wanted complete monopoly of trade. The English East India Company officials were refusing to pay taxes, being disrespectful and trying to disobey the Nawab and his officials. And the next question, what did they do to make the Nawab angry? It was also involved in the fortification of the trading post and began to strengthen and defend against in French as it wanted sole rights to trade. So Nawab was angry. Students, finally, how did Robert Clive pave the way for British sovereignty in India? Yes, Robert Clive defeated Sirajud-Dowlah in the Battle of Plassey and the combined forces of Shah Alam II and Shuja-ud-Dowlah in the Battle of Buxar. He signed the Treaty of Allahabad and got a huge sum of money. The territory of Allahabad and the Diwani rights of Bengal, Bihar, Orissa, and some parts of the Carnatic region, thus paving the way for making the British a sovereign power in India. Okay, students, you are observing the video and complete the worksheet.